Okay, we are at the Mishnah on Nun Gimel Amud Aleph 53a, the second Mishnah. Bezrat Hashem to finish the parak today, God willing. Here we go. Hanoder min hayayin. The person says, I don't want any more wine. Mutar beyayin tapuchim. He's allowed to have apple wine. Okay, it's a different name. Yain means grapes. Yain tapuchim is allowed. Mina shemen, it says, I don't want to have oil. Oil, stam oil, everybody knows is referring to olive oil. Mutar b'shemen shum shemin. I'm allowed to have sesame oil. Mina dvash. Mutar b'dvash temarim. We thought, like until now, we saw a lot of dvash, and we were talking about dvash temarim, and in general, but it seems like the Lashon B'nei Adam, maybe the time of the Mishnah, dvash already was dvash of Dvorim,
it was only Tmarim in there.
Of Dvorim, you mean?
Tmarim, I thought.
Tmarim, yeah. So it seems Lashon B'nei Adam, like just nowadays, you say dvash to people, honey. You're talking about the honey from bees. It seems like that was already a thing then, and even in Turkey, the bee honey is bee honey.
Yeah, honey is always.
It's always bee honey. Yeah.
But like in biblical sense.
Biblical says a date.
Date is more used more commonly, I believe.
Yeah, and then there's also from figs, but it was
Really?
yeah. There's also figs honey. Yeah, I think I for sure mentioned this maybe recently. Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash. So there's a Rashi, I think Rashi in Chumash. And how can you have that actual physically Zavat Chalav Udvash? And how you could have Zavat Chalav Udvash physically is you have a goat eating dates, and the milk of the udders. So he says the date tree, the dates could be very low. Figs. The figs could be very low. The fig tree, and he could be eating it, and so lush that it's leaking down. It's and you have a little puddle of honey, and its milk from its udders so much that it comes out of its milk, and you could literally have a flow of milk and honey.
Mute it. Start the sound.
What?
No.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but it seems like Lashon B'nei Adam, Dvash is Dvash Devorim. So we're just here on the Mishnah and Gimel Amud Aleph.
Who is drinking oil?
Well, maybe he doesn't have oil for a salad, oil for whatever. I don't want to have any oil.
You don't drink.
No, he didn't say drinking. No Nedarim oil.
English.
It says derivative from drinking oil. It says, but in Hebrew it's just shemen.
Yeah, I don't know where they get that from. Drinking oil. Or prohibited from consume. It should have been consuming oil.
Right.
It should have been partaking in oil.
Yeah.
See, because in the Hebrew it's mina shemen, neder from shemen from oil. That's it. That's an interesting point there. Next, mina chometz. The person says, I don't want to have any vinegar. Mutar bechometz stoniot. So vinegar maybe would mean generally like wine vinegar, but chometz stoniot that we learned yesterday. From these type of grape vinegar, no wine vinegar is the same, right? But this like special grape type of vinegar, stoniot, it's not included that. So again, this is with Lashon B'nei Adam, and we're going to see the end of the Mishnah, which I'll say now. It's called a Shem Livui. Shem Livui has a name that's accompanying it. So chometz stoniot, shemen shum shemin, yain tapuchim. When I say yain, I didn't mean yain tapuchim. Yain tapuchim is its own thing, but here the yain is grapes, and dvash is from bees. Okay, next is mina krishim, mutar bekaflotot. Krishim are leeks. Kaflotot are different types of leeks, but it has a different shem. Right, the Ran says. It seems like it's a different item. How does it translate the kaflotot?
He just says here that the term leek, aluim porum, is not ordinarily used to refer to the related leek with a head, porum
Kaflotot. Yeah, leek with a head.
Right. That's what it says.
Okay. So it's two different words, two different things. Mina yerek. Person says, I don't want vegetables. Mutar beyirakot hasadeh. You're allowed to have wild vegetables. Meaning, generally, yerek is from the gina, from the garden, from the that is planted, that we know, like you plant. Here, wild ones, that's not included. And the Mishnah tells us the rule of Shehu Shem Livoi. There's a name accompanying it. When a person says yerek, he means regular vegetables. Wild vegetables, you say yerek hasadeh. Even now, we just said wild vegetables. You just added a word to it, so that would be allowed. Yeah, if you look at the next run, mutar beyirakot hasadeh. The stam yerek lo mashma la yerek gina. The yerakot from the gina. That's what when you say yerek, it's yerek from the gina. Okay, Gemara. Tanya, it says in the Braita, Hanoder min hashemen be'eretz Yisrael. A person says, I don't want to have Eretz Yisrael oil. Mutar b'shemen shum shemin, ve'asur b'shemen zayit. He's allowed to have shemen shum shemin. No, I'm sorry. He doesn't say Eretz Yisrael oil. He says, I don't want to have shemen, but he's located in Israel. He says this in Israel. So what shemen is he talking about? He's talking about olive oil and not sesame oil. So that means, meaning we're going to Lashon Ben Adam. We're going to see now Bavel, asur b'shemen shemen shum shemin, mutar b'shemen zayit. In Bavel, stam oil was sesame oil. So the guy says, I don't want to have oil, neder on oil. Well, what does that mean? If you're in Bavel, it means regular oil with sesame oil. If here, maybe regular oil, canola oil, I don't know. You know, but now we're getting more flavor there. Avocado oil, this is grapeseed oil. Everybody's we became fancy. I think back in the day, oil was, I think canola oil was general oil, but Turkey.
No, they didn't have corn in Israel.
Canola.
Maybe sunflower?
Canola is pretty new, I think.
Yeah, canola is
100
very
years.
sunflower or olive.
You know, Canada.
That's-
Sunflower they had back in the day, like old times.
I would believe so. Like,
Yes, shemen shum shemin.
Not good.
But so basically, we go with what the Lashon Ben Adam in Bavel. When you would say oil, they think sesame oil. In Israel, you say oil, olive oil. So therefore, the other one is allowed. The other one is allowed. Makom shemistapkin mizeh umizeh, a place that would have both. And it seems like both. It wasn't a defined thing. Like if I say now oil here in Canada, it's not so defined. So there's no olive, canola. It's not so defined. So this and this, when a guy says oil, and it's a not defined, but we have from this, we have from that. Asur bazeh ubazeh. We're asur on everything because you said something stam. You said something very general oil. In Canada, when I say I don't have oil anymore, oil is general. There's olive, there's this, there's that. See, in Israel, everybody knows you're talking about olive oil. In Bavel, everybody knows you're talking about shum shemi, talking about sesame. So if it's something where it could be this or this or this or this, it's all asur. This is the Pshita. Isn't that obvious? Like it's not defined. Everything's asur because that's what's Lashon Ben Adam. Oil is you're covering all oils. So Gemara says, look, no, it's not pashut. Tzricha, you need this teaching. The ruba min chad mistapkin. The case is, let's say, majority is used of one oil, but minority is the other oil, and but it's still enough of a minority that people would think that. So let's just say, let's go to olive and sesame. Let's say we're talking about a case where majority people think, you take a poll, majority of people think when you say oil, 70% think it's olive. When you say, kids calling me, get them later. So when you say oil, 30% of the people on the poll would say sesame oil. So that's a good majority. That's a good minority. It's not a nothing. It's 30%. So the Gemara is saying, I need this case where it says if we have from this and from that both asur. The ruba min chad mistapkim maudetema. You would think izil bataruba. Go with the ruv. Go with the majority. And he only meant olive. Kamashman comes to teach us safek isura lechumra. A safek of isur, we go stringent, and therefore there's a strong minority here that thing. No. Oil means sesame oil. Oh, that's a strong minority over here. It brings a safek. In this isur, we go stringent.
Because the safek will go stringent on both.
Yeah, and therefore the guy says, "Ned, I don't want to have oil," and it's a place that has both. But really, majority of people would say olive. But a good minority, not like a one-off guy. There's no sesame or avocado. There's a minority,
70-30 is
something like that. Then both are. The chidush is we don't go with the majority of people. We go with both.
And this
Safek
principle
isur
follows
l'chumra.
also, although
What?
the other, you say this principle would follow other scenarios as well?
Good question. In general, safek. So I think a safek of isur because the halachot of nedarim are mideoraita. So safek deoraita, the rule of safek deoraita lechumra, safek derabanan lekula. That's in general. Safek deoraita, a Torah law safek is we go stringent. A rabbinic law safek we go lenient. So that would be a case. Let's say a bracha on non-birkat hamazon, other brachot. Did I say the bracha? Did I not say the bracha? Safek on rabbanan we go lenient.
This is Mishnah, we go.
But this would follow in the rule of Torah because a Torah law, which Nedarim is a Torah law, guys says,
Right.
I don't want it. I'm making it. I don't want to have oil anymore. Oh, so you just now attach yourself to a Torah law. So safek of isur and isur deoraita is going to be the chumrah. The Gemara continues. Hanoder mina yerek. Person says a neder from vegetables. Now, we know that there is 7 years of Shemitah cycle. The 7th year is Shemitah. On the year of Shemitah, you're allowed to walk into people's fields and eat, and basically it's things that are grown wild. So now we're also assessing when the person said, I'm not having vegetables anymore. Oh, look, when did you say that? What year did you say that in? That's what we have to assess. Hanoder min hayerek. 4 lines up from the bottom. You make a neder, no more vegetables. Bishar shene shavua, on the other years of the 7 years, shavua is not 7 a week, but it's the years. Other years of the 7 years, meaning years 1 through 6, asur b'yerakot agina, umutar b'yerakot hasadeh. Asur to have yerakot of the gina, from the garden, meaning from where we plant. Mutar yerakot wild food, because we're not, we say vegetables, we're regular vegetables in the store, this, not wild stuff. So you're allowed to have wild stuff. But on Shemitah year, asur b'yerakot hasadeh, umutar b'yerakot agina. Asur b'yerakot hasadeh, because what you mean is I don't have any vegetables. So you mean the yerakot hasadeh, because that's where you're going to be eating from. And technically, it is mutar yerakot agina. Where are you going to get yerakot agina from? Not sure. Someone brings it from chutz la'aretz or whatever, but technically, yerakot agina would be allowed for you. Yeah, because as the Ran says, look at the bottom line. The Ran, shvit asur yerakot hasadeh. Im nedaber shvit. You can't say that he had in mind the yerakot and the gina. We don't plow and plant. We don't plant and pick in the shvit. That it comes up on its own, wild. That's what he had in mind. Okay, Rabbi Avahu is now going to argue on this point. Says the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Avahu Mishum Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel. Rabbi Avahu says in the name of Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel. Lo shanu ela b'makom she'en mevim yerek michutz la'aretz la'aretz. This is taught in a place where they don't bring fruits from chutz la'aretz, vegetables from chutz la'aretz to Israel. They're importing. Meaning that's what we're talking about. Asur. But if you do bring vegetables from chutz la'aretz to Israel, it's going to be asur. I just pointed that out. That a guy says on Shemitah, guy says I'm making a neder, no vegetables. So we say like this. This guy is talking about Shemitah. Shemitah, you can only have wild vegetables. It must be that you're talking about wild vegetables. So, asur wild vegetables. You're allowed to have gina, but where we're going to get gina from, we don't know, but you can't have wild vegetables. Oh, so what about if I import from Chutz La'aretz? So that's what Rabbi Avo says, is that we're talking about a case where you don't, because we said mutar begina. We said mutar begina, you don't have that in mind. But that's only when, says Rabbi Avo, that's only when we don't import, because there's nothing from the gina available. But if we do import, then maybe you're talking about the ones from the gina. So lo shanu, where did we say that you could eat the ones from the gina? When you said the neder and shmita, that you're allowed to eat the ones in the gina, in a place where we don't import vegetables from outside of Israel to Israel. But if we do import, in that place that we do import, it's going to be asur. Because when you make the neder, we're going to say mutar and gina. No, we have imports here. So it must be that you're talking about that one as well.
What's the difference between a tomato that is imported and a tomato grown in your garden?
So a tomato that is grown in your garden is not supposed to be grown in your garden on Shemitah. Outside of Israel, there's no Shemitah outside of Israel. So you could have stuff grown from gardens, grown from the regular way, not from the wild, outside of Israel, imported into Israel. Now you could eat that because it's not grown in Israel on the Shemitah year. So when a guy says, I don't want to have vegetables, and it's a Shemitah year, generally we think he's talking about the wild stuff, because all you can eat is wild. When we say technically, you're allowed to have grown stuff in a garden, but you just can't find that because it's Shemitah, and you're not allowed to, let's say a guy would violate. Let's say there's one guy who unfortunately violated Shemitah, and he grew in a garden fruit. And this guy who made the neder, I don't want to have vegetables. I don't want vegetables on Shemitah. I don't want vegetables. So we say, Shemitah, he's going on wild vegetables. Wild vegetables, can't have. Vegetables in the garden, you could have. Now, let's say that he finds the guy violated, and he eats the vegetable from the garden. So he violated the laws of Shemitah, as he partook in helping this guy facilitate, let's call it that it's asur, but he didn't violate his neder. Now what happens is, so it says Rabbi Avo, if I have vegetables from outside of Israel coming in, imported, and these are vegetables of the gina, this is the regular crop. This is allowed on Shemitah. So maybe when this guy said, I don't want to have vegetables, hold on, does that include this or does that not include this? So he's saying like this, if it's a place in Israel that usually imports, then this is going to be included in his neder, because he knows he's talking about regular vegetables. But if it's something that he doesn't usually import, people that they don't import, then it's not included, and therefore he would technically be allowed, because he doesn't have that in his mind.
Okay, another question. For example, in the year of Shemitah, this is not related to Nedarim, but to Shemitah. Let's say we collected everything in the 6th year, but in the 7th year, in the garden, like in the field, that you always take care.
It grew on its own?
Yeah, it's grown.
That's okay.
Is it wild or?
No, it's wild.
It's wild.
Yeah, it grew on its own. It's considered wild. Okay, so now, so that's what Rabbi Avo says, that it depends if we import from Chutz La'aretz or not. If we import, then those are gina, and therefore it's going to be under his neder. But this goes like machloket Tanaim, meaning we see from over here, Rabbi Avo is introducing us to places that did import, places that didn't import. What's going on? Did they import? Did they not import? Ketana, it's machloket Tanaim. En mevin yerek min chutz la'aretz. The general Tanakama says we don't import chutz la'aretz vegetables to Israel. Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel Omer mevim yerek min chutz la'aretz. We do import. So what's the reason not to? We do is okay. Why not? They need this fruit there. They need this vegetable there. Why not? What's the reason? Says the Gemara, Maitama demand amar en mevin. What's the reason why we don't import vegetables from Chutz La'aretz? Amar Rabbi Meir, mishum gush. Says Rabbi Meir, because of the earth that it usually comes together with the vegetables that we pick and we bring. Usually there's some earth there, and Chachamim made a gezerah that earth of chutz la'aretz is tameh.
So you bring
That's
them
the
with-
reason.
That's
the reason
So-
to my question.
Yeah, so we can't. So the earth of chutz la'aretz is tameh,
Yeah, but
and therefore we don't bring in.
is it halacha though? That's what I'm asking.
So the
Because
It
people bring
seems-
it in Israel, right?
yeah, people bring in Israel. So nowadays, so things like this. Why is it tameh? Tameh of what? So tameh that maybe it was over a dead body, and maybe the people in Chutz La'aretz weren't shomeret so much, and therefore the people in Eretz Yisrael were more machmir about this. So people in Chutz La'aretz, they didn't really know so much, didn't care so much. So gezerah that we're going to read in the Ran that earth of Chutz La'aretz is tameh. Nowadays we don't have tumah v'tahara. Kohen does this, so we're all tameh. We're all tameh. But back in the day, the land of Chutz La'aretz would
And you
make a
can
person
say it
tameh.
The other way, you can say that our land is a holy land compared to
Unholy
Chutz
land.
La'aretz, as opposed to.
We're unholy. This is unholy, and compared to Israel's holy.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
he's saying. He's
No, I thought you
what I'm
said
saying.
okay. I thought you said unholy. If you look at the Ran, Mishum Gush, the right side, Chosheshin lehavio, we're worried that he's going to bring these vegetables. Mishum chashashat de gush hanidbakbo, worried about the earth that's connected to the vegetables. Vegusha de eretz ha'amim tameh, and the earth of eretz of the other nations is tameh. Kedita perakam de Shabbat, like it says in the first parak of Shabbat. Actually, the Mefaresh over here, if you see on the left side, Mishum Gush, Shema yesh me'afar chutz la'aretz be'ikarayu, v'tameh mishum safek met. Safek is over a dead body. Okay. Okay. Mishnah. Last Mishnah of the Perek. Mina Kruv. The guy says, I don't want to have any benefit from a Kruv. Asur be asparagus.
Shishela,
Ispargus.
I have a question. So that means it's Hebrew region? Asparagus, the name?
But asparagus here doesn't mean asparagus as we know it.
Oh, it means-
I hope so, because like, what to do with cabbage? Like,
What to do with cabbage?
I'm trying to understand it for a while.
So this asparagus, if you see that thick aleph with the brackets, that's the gaut hagra on the right side. Asparagus, nire be'enai pirush harav hai gaon.
Asparagus is a
gaon.
species of cabbage.
Yeah. Min keruv, shesharin oto beyain, that is soaked in wine. With Lashon Yevani, yain shel bakar nikra aspargus. In Greek, yain shel bakar, I don't know, yain shel boker, morning wine. It's called aspargus. There we go, asparagus. Now we have to know why they stole our word asparagus and they translate it to what they call asparagus. But so basically, it's a type of kruv, but it's a different name because it's a wine kruv. So when a guy says kruv, he means kruv. He doesn't mean asparagus. So you're asur. Sorry, I'm sorry. Mina kruv asur asparagus. If you say kruv, kruv it seems like it's general, and therefore that includes the asparagus type of kruv. Mina asparagus. Now you're getting specific. You're saying that asparagus kruv, mutar bekruv. You mutar in regular kruv. Mina grisin. First it says about beans. Asur b'makpeh. You're asur to have porridge. Like a bean porridge. Rabbi Yossi matir. Rabbi Yossi says it's allowed because it's a different name. But Tanakama says it's the same item. Just in different form, it's included.
And you cannot eat uncooked beans. Oh,
Yeah, but you have beans that are separate beans, even if they're cooked, and you have like a porridge-like bean soup, bean
so why
porridge.
can't we eat only porridge like cooked bean while we cannot eat other food made? For example, we just can call this hummus, like not hummus, but hummus is also beans, but like
But
a
hummus is
name
lentil.
and just eat it. Then like it makes no sense.
No, don't go quick to say it makes no sense. But we just call it a
Yet.
name. We just call it a name. No, the people called it that name. They had a different name for it. It was like, yeah, you're right. Nisim, you want to invent a new thing, call it a name. If it picks up and everybody now calls it a different name, Lashon b'nei Adam, Lashon of Nedarim, it would be a different name. If you somehow, switch the world's mind to think that when I say shemen, I mean shemen avocado, right? Back to the earlier, then okay, that's what shemen means. But until that point, it's not that. And if it's a different name, it's a different name. So, mina grisine is asur b'makpeh. So the first Tanakh says the person says, I don't want to have beans anymore, grisine. Included in that is bean porridge. Rabbi Yossi is matir. Rabbi Yossi says it's allowed because no, it's a different name, makpeh. So it seems that the Tanakh says no, it's the same item. Maybe there was a machloket if it was considered a different name. Rabbi Yossi is matir. Tanakh says asur. Mina makpeh mutar b'grisin. Mina makpeh. Oh, now you're getting specific. Makpeh. That's your mutar b'grisin. Your mutar in general means because grisin is beans where it's the overall category. Then you're going specific. Okay, that means you davka meant a specific thing. Mina makpeh asur b'shum. If you say makpeh, you're asur to have shum. Shum is garlic. What's the connection to garlic over here?
Maybe makpeh is like a stew that very different, like a couple of different stuff, like beans and tomatoes and garlic is all inside. That's why it's mutar. It's just not that beans. Like it's
Not
not a
just
bean
beans?
food. It's just a lot of like.
Not just beans.
Yeah. Like I'm just trying
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
understand, not making any.
The
statement.
shuman, I think it's because of the main flavor in stew,
Mhm.
so they may be referred to it
That's what
as
it said.
something that's usually in stew. Right?
Yeah. So what does it say there? Mina makpeh asur b'shum.
It says that because porridge is a general name that can refer to any thick cooked food, garlic is generally prepared for consumption by grinding it into a small amount of water, making it a thick pottage-like paste. And then Rosh explains that garlic is forbidden by native prohibiting pottage because garlic is an important flavor ingredient used in all pottages. Grits are not forbidden by a native prohibiting pottage, however, because even though they are an important component of the grits pottage, they are not an important component of all pottages. So it's because
You
chances-
said makpeh, therefore the chances are that there's shum in there.
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Rabbi Yossi matir. You says no, it's a different thing. It's mutar. Mina shum mutar makpeh. Now if I go specific to the shum, to the garlic, then they're mutar in general makpeh. Mina adashim asur ba'ashishim. Rabbi Yossi matir. We saw this before. Adashim are lentils. Ashishim are honey lentils. So Tanakama says that it's included. Rabbi Yossi says no, it's not included. It's mutar. It's two different things.
But it's interesting because if you say mina shum, mutar b'mikpeh, right? Then it means even if you have shum inside the mikpeh, inside the stew, you can still have it.
I don't know about that. Maybe
No, it says it
means-
can't.
Yeah, you can't like. If I say shum, I think any shum, even if it's mixed in, even if it's in there. But makpeh,
It says the rest of the stew is permitted, even
The
if
rest
it's
of the stew.
flavored with garlic.
So you cook it with it, take the garlic out, you can eat it.
If it's whole.
If it's flavored,
But if it's ground already, you can't take it out. If you put a garlic clove in it,
where did you
But
get
don't-
that from?
so
Where does it say
you can't
that
see it anymore. Maybe
Remember,
it's
when is
just
it?
the Ritva?
yeah,
The Ritva is a
that's
different rabbi, the one in the
It's,
Farshim. Okay, so that's
Maybe
maybe the
that's-
Ritva's opinion.
Ah.
It sounds like an interesting opinion. The Ritva's opinion is shum. If I say shum, then just the garlic. But a makpeh that also has garlic in it, it's now not. I don't call this garlic. I call this makpeh. So I guess the Ritva would say it's allowed. Meaning it is allowed, But generally, I would thought a makpeh without shum.
Yeah.
But the Ritva says no, a makpeh even with shum. And you can say that because it's called makpeh now. Okay. Mina adashim, first wide line. Mina adashim asur ba'ashishim. Rabbi Yossi matir. Fine. Mina ashishim mutar ba'adashim. Everybody agrees. We saw this also last time. If I say ashishim, which are the honey lentils, that's specific. That means general lentils is allowed. Chita chitin. We saw this before with dag dagim. Chita chitin. Shani toem. Chita and chitin. Was singular and plural. I don't want to have any of them. Asur bahen. You're asur to have them. Ben kemach. Ben apat. Be it if it's flour, be it if it's already bread. Any form. Greasing. Beans. Shani toem. Asur bahen ben chaim ben mevushalim. Raw or cooked. Either way is asur. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Konam grease ochita shani toem. First it says grease ochita, which is singular, one bean, one wheat. Mutar lakos chaim. You're allowed to chew. You're allowed to chew them raw. You're allowed to chew them raw because it seems like you're going to have more than one. It seems like you're going to chew them.
So what?
Why would this be?
He's permitted to chew them raw as it is not in the normal way to eat it, and therefore was not included in the intention of the vow.
So it's saying it's not the normal way. Okay, because I thought when learning it that it meant one, like you're eating more than one. See, it's not the normal way because it's raw. Interesting. Here we have something new. So Yudah says, "Kunam grease ochita," which is singular, grease ochita. You're allowed to chew it raw. That's not the normal way. Okay, I think we're going to see more about this. Let's see. Tanya, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Chita shani toem, asur le'efot u'mutar lachus. If a guy says, I don't want to have chita, then you can't bake with that. That's why I think it's because it's irregular. You can't bake it into a bread or whatever. That's asur, because that's what chita is. Things, but mutar lachus, you're allowed to raw because people don't chew it like that. Chitim shani toem, plural, asur lachos u'mutar le'efot.
Just because it's plural? No. That's the difference?
Yeah,
Plural?
chita and chitim. Okay, I think what's going on is that chita means wheat, but chita, because I'm saying in singular, it means like a loaf of bread.
Or like a bakery, like a
Yeah, look at the
wheat
Ran.
product.
Yeah, like a bake. Like when I say I don't want to have chita, I didn't say chitim is wheat. Chita is wheat in singular, but when I say chita, which is wheat singular, it also means like a bread. Let's see the Ran on the right side. Chita shani toem asur le'efot. Depat chita. Depat chita mikri. Bread is called chita. Dechad gufa nami, because it's also one body, it's one piece, one bread. But chitim mashma lachus. Chitim is masha to chew on. Mipnei she'adam koses chitim chalukim beyachad. People chew on separate pieces of wheat together. So when I say chitim, it could very well mean that I'm talking about chewing. But when I say chita, it could very well mean I'm talking about bread. So let's do this again from the beginning of the Gemara. Tanya Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, chita shani toem asur le'efot u'mutar lachus. Asur to have the baked bread, because chita means of bread. Mutar for chewing. Chitim shani toem asur lachus u'mutar le'efot. Chitim that I taste, that's plural. That's talking about chewing. And mutar for baking. Chita chitin shani toem, I say now both. Asur ben lachus ben le'efot. They both are included. Geris shani toem, which is singular, asur levashel mutar lachus. So here as well, geris, bean, but it means like a bean product, a cooked bean item. So asur to cook, but mutar to chew it. Grisin shani toem, which is plural, asur lachos mutar levashel. You can't chew them, but you could cook them, because I don't say plural beans for cooking. That's for chewing. Grisin shani toem, asur ben levashel ben lachos. If I say both, then it's asur in both, be it cooking or be it chewing. Hadan alach hanoder min hamevushal. Hadan alach hanoder min hamevushal. Hadan alach hanoder min hamevushal. May this perek come back to us. Be'ezrat Hashem. Chazak u'baruch.